Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show.
Now we turn our attention to a deeply troubling controversy that has sparked outrage across Nigeria's digital and social landscape. Popular social media personality Blessing Okoro, widely known as Blessing CEO, recently claimed she was battling stage 4 breast cancer, an emotional revelation that drew sympathy, support, and reportedly millions of naira in donations. However, investigations have since alleged that the medical report she presented was falsified and originally belonged to another patient, a real cancer survivor. It was also revealed, which of course triggered public anger and calls for legal action, a broader conversation about trust, accountability, and the exploitation of public empathy, especially in a country where genuine cancer patients struggle daily for support, funding, and access to care. Now, from ethical concerns to legal consequences and the ripple effect on real patients and advocacy efforts, this case raises urgent questions. What happens when illness is weaponized for attention or financial gain? How does this affect public trust in genuine health campaigns and what we see when people often need this help? And what legal frameworks even exist to deter such actions? That's what we'll be unpacking on today's edition of Razep Africa. And in the studio right here, we have Engineer Dozie Akwarandu, a cancer survivor himself and the Executive Director of Nest of Hope Advocacy and Support Community. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Mr. Joy, for having me.
Absolutely. We would later be joined by a legal practitioner, Barrister Osigwe Momo. But first, let's have this conversation because it is very concerning and troubling as well. As a cancer survivor yourself, an advocate, I guess the question would be, what was your immediate reaction to this controversy when it was obvious? Because when I saw that outpost, she wasn't wearing makeup, she really did look ill, and she was crying. She said she can no longer fight in silence. She wanted the public to know what was going on with her. Sympathy naturally swelled up, but when the controversy started and it was obvious that her stories weren't true, how did you take all of that?
Well, thank you so much once again. I'm happy to be here to talk about this sensitive issue as it is. And simply, I don't join issues with people, maybe the so-called influencers or celebrities. I'm not really a social media person outside cancer advocacy. Perhaps my presence in social media was limited, until I joined patient advocacy. So when I saw the thing first, saw it also on some platforms, it wasn't really a pity thing, but I had to look at it. I'm happy I didn't keep quiet. I'm happy I didn't maybe look at it, swipe over it, and I had to ask myself some questions about that first image that I saw, the video. My first interaction with that incident was when I challenged somebody that posted something. To me, just like what you said now, how does a cancer patient look like? So these are the misconceptions. So the way she painted the picture, I was like, how does a cancer patient look like? Then how does a stage 4 cancer patient
now look like?
So that person that I had that conversation with, I now got offended, right? Wanted to challenge me, and then posted the real picture or the real video of a Blessing to me, and that really triggered something in me to begin to challenge it. And I said, outrightly, it wasn't that of sympathy first; it was that of, for me, anger. Then,
from the word go, you saw through it all.
you can check after this conversation. You can check my conversation on that distance, because listen, you see, when they talk about cancer being personal, right? It's really true, because it's a journey that reflects reality, people's reality. And I am at the intersection of these realities, my own personal self and the people that are in my group, right? So the whole conversation, the discussion, what she said, right, isn't really this. So for me, the trend wasn't that of awareness. It was about the claim. It was about content. And that's where my anger came from. So you can't begin to talk about, like, cancer is not diagnosed by men looking at you to tell you this is it.
Yeah.
Right? And the picture that I saw first, I asked the person, is he really after treatment or this? So it's not like she has been diagnosed. And I said, who diagnosed cancer like this? Before you talk about cancer staging, right? You must have had series of tests. You must have had also a procedure they call biopsy. Right. Now, even the biopsy, right, tells you the type of cancer that you have. Now you talk about staging.
And
right?
that's what surprised a lot of people. It went from 0 to...
And that staging also is not just a mere pronunciation. There's a test called immunohistochemistry, right? That will tell you the stage of this cancer, the stage of this cancer, right? So the problem is not also that you move from stage 1 to stage 4. No, people have been diagnosed at stage 4 here, right? Like I always say, it's not because cancer is aggressive in Nigeria, but it's because of our system. I always talk about this system.
Absolutely.
So the thing makes a lot of people also come up with advanced stage cancer. So I was like, is it really cancer diagnosis that makes someone lose hair, or cancer treatment
exactly
that makes you lose hair? Is it cancer treatment that makes people look the way they are, or cancer management? The care, a whole lot of things. So I'm looking at it. I mean, there is a lot to talk about in this whole conversation. So, and the anger, when I talk about the anger, it came from the fact that, this discussion, this thing is not content.
It is serious. It is absolutely
it's a real
serious
issue. It's something that people are going through. It's something that, when you talk even about the statistics, these statistics are people.
These are people's brothers, wives,
sisters, right? Relatives. And there are also people losing their lives every day.
As a matter of fact, I went for a funeral over the weekend. My friend is passed on from complications from cancer. She had the breast cancer initially. It was removed. One of the breasts was removed. We thought we were out of the woods until recently. It came back aggressively, affected her pelvic, her lungs, and all of that. It was really aggressive, and she passed on. This is me who's hurting from my friend who had legitimate issues, and someone using it to joke around and tells you, oh, I really didn't have the diagnosis. I was going to do, and everything. I mean, I don't know if you watched a sister channel interview her, and it was obvious from that conversation that they had that she really didn't even do the smallest research on what the process could have been. She just went to town. And to think there was a damning report of her, I think it used to be her makeup artist, who actually did have cancer, and who she fraudulently, I would say, collected her cancer certificate and all of that, and went to town with it, forging these documents. So before we go to our next guest who will be joining us to give us the legal implications of this, I would just like you to first of all tell us what damage this has caused for the public trust when it comes to cancer advocacy and fundraising.
Okay, when you talked about if I saw the interview at your sister station and something like that, yes, and that's where my feelings grew from anger to pity. You know, I pity people who don't really understand what this sickness is all about. I pity someone who is so naive to begin to create unnecessary content with that. But having said that, for me, the implication, in fact, is the hurting, right? It hurts me. Why does it even hurt me? Is the silence, right? The silence that the real patients see every day. You and I have gone through this over time. You have contacted us for people who have been diagnosed, right? And there's something I see in us, that these people that need help do not get answers. They don't have anybody to care. People don't care. Nigerians don't really care. Let me put it the way it is, right? Now you see trend, you see content, everybody key into the trend, right? Which for me mocks the real people.
Exactly.
We talk about stigma. We talk about things that are hot. Let me tell you, there is something that makes me every day within this period this thing has. Assuming this thing is for awareness purposes, it would have made sense. But because it mocks people who are really going through, who cannot afford their drugs. It mocks people who are lying there waiting for someone to pick on them. And I'm even, sorry, I will say it here, I'm even angry with media, right? Okay, every media outlet wants to pick it. Everybody wants to talk about it. Media personalities, or let's say so-called media personalities, have to take it. But bring a cancer patient for them to assist. Nobody has the time. Nobody. Thank you for all things you do. Thank you for the attention you pay to this, because you bring out all these things before now, not just to talk about this station, but for the opportunity that you give to awareness.
Exactly.
So when it comes to real deal, Nigerians don't show up. We have a lot of people. Do you know what it means? Somebody was telling you, I have a cancer amputation. How? A simple mastectomy you cannot say. And these are things that will be told to you before from the diagnosis.
Claiming she's losing hair.
How will you begin to lose hair when you've not even started treatment? And it's not even every treatment that makes you lose hair. It's not even every chemo. Like today, there are if you can afford certain treatment, you don't lose hair.
Right. Okay, so I think it's a good time to bring in Barrister Osiwe Momo to the conversation. He's joining us from Lagos. Hi, Barrister. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. Sorry for joining you from the car. I wish I was in the office, but I got stuck in transit.
For you to return to Abuja for to have you in the studio to have this conversation. But when this happened some time ago, I think it was Miracle, the other lady who claimed rape. I read that beautiful article and I love the captioning of it, where I think you called it the fundamental something about lying. If you can remind me.
Yeah.
The name of the article you wrote.
Yes, your fundamental right to lie.
Listeners, to go Google that article. It is really interesting to read. You mentioned the Cyber Crime Act, you mentioned the Constitution and all of that. But from your legal standpoint, does this case constitute a criminal offense under the Nigerian law?
Absolutely. This is one of the cases that we shouldn't even waste time on or trying to treat with a kid's glove. Several people have employed these tactics before, and one of the reasons why crimes ought to be punished is to deter other people from doing this. This action is not just obnoxious, it's not just vexatious, it's outrightly criminal. She's a thief. Let's call a spade a spade. You go out there to deceive people, to collect their money. She had intent. Like I'm noted in that article, your fundamental right to lie. It is not a crime for a Nigerian to lie. However, there are exceptions to that rule. And one of the glaring exceptions is if you are lying with a clear intent to gain pecuniary or some sort of favor, or you're lying with criminal intent. She definitely lied with criminal intent to make money from people, to fleece money from people, to claim to be sympathetic. This is the layers of crimes in this matter is staggering, and I think it's one that she would definitely regret doing, and I hope it will serve as a deterrent to several other people who think that they can call it pranks, cruise, whatever, ingenious name they want to call it, but it's cheating, it's fraud. She's a Yahoo girl. This is wire fraud, exactly what it is. I intend in crime generally, there are two elements of crime. There is the most important element, which is the mental element. It's called mens rea. So you must think of it first, then the action, which is the act where you now do it. She clearly thought of it, conceived and baked in her heart to deceive people that she's a cancer victim. And like the gentleman in the studio said glaringly, this is going to take something from the movement. Somebody else come now, they ask cancer, they say not them. It destroys the credibility of this very, very pain. This is a global menace, cancer. My dad died of cancer, so it's not something that is light. It's despicable. I don't even have the right word or adjective to describe how pained, not just me, millions of Nigerians, maybe Africans for that matter. So this is a crime. This is not a joke. This is not a cruise. This doesn't fall on the limit of life. If she had done this without receiving money, then, well, you may call that content whatever. That may have been difficult to call a crime, even though she may have gotten likes and other tractions from that. That may have been difficult to prove. But this one, she received donations. That was her intent. Clearly, she's a fraudulent matter. This is a criminal breach of, this is false pretense. Obtaining other false pretense or cheating, depending on which code will be punished with, either penal or criminal.
Right, we have institutions across Nigeria, a lot of anti-graft agencies. Sometimes we think we have too many. Is this? We've not seen an arrest. We've been expecting and one of these institutions to say something. Is it because she's an influencer? She has the numbers in terms of followership. What is going on? At least, if not for anything, for deterrence. And I would like you to also talk about the gaps. Is there the gaps in a Nigerian law that allows such things to occur?
No, not on this one. This is a very glaring case, and I think the Nigerian police has to take priority on this. This is not a matter to necessarily focus with the EFCC and co. Even though it's, you can say, of course, this is a cyber offense also, it's cyber crime and economic crime, obviously. But I think the Nigerian police is well suited to take care of this. Also because the Nigerian police need to do this, not just with her, but other persons, one way or another, who have been employing the same tactics. Yes, it seems as if we have a multiplicity of security agencies. Ought to be an advantage, but sometimes you are thinking the other person is doing what this other person is doing and the other person is doing, and ultimately nobody's doing it. If everybody's cooking, maybe nobody's really doing it. But that's not the excuse here. There's been a petition from the Cancer Society of Nigeria, I think, to the Nigerian police. The police don't need to arrest. Nigerians are very used to arrest. I personally am not a fan of arrest. Investigate the matter, and after investigation, prosecutes. So maybe I'm pretty sure she's investigating. But what you are doing, another member of the press is doing, is mounting the pressure, is making the police know that this won't slide. They are banking. A lot of people bank on our short memory. We have something called political or social amnesia in Nigeria. In 2-3 weeks, a big trend comes and everybody forgets about this. So I think that, our handlers, our PR, our lawyers definitely are banking on the fact that, don't worry, small time, another big news, everybody forget about Blessing CEO. But we need people of the press to have staying power. We need more reminders to the police. We need to know what's happening, invite the police commissioner, the spokesperson, ask how far they are going with this matter. If there's investigation, this person has to face accountability. And I'm not saying this maliciously because I hate her. I absolutely don't. I don't even know how to hate her, but I think that this has to be a lesson, or at least let her be extremely repentant, come to the public and have some kind of apology, that may even suffice, but this will not be swept under the rug. This is just too serious to be swept under the rug.
Let me bring it back to the studio. I mean, you have been doing a lot of advocacy work. Have you encountered cases where patients are doubted or stigmatized due to misinformation like this? And while you're answering that, what system do you think should be put in place to verify fundraising? Because right now you have just alluded to how it would affect, and it's bad enough as it is in fundraising, but what do you think we should put in place to verify fundraising claims?
Okay, thank you. The truth of the matter is that, thank you for what the lawyer talked about. It's criminal, but beyond this being criminal, like I talked about, for me, there are ways to perhaps verify claims. For this particular issue, there was, I think when I said I moved from anger to pity, Blessing had every opportunity to redeem herself. At that interview, she would have apologized. She would have owned up, at least swallow her pride and apologize, right? And move on. Or come out, even seeing how, like me, if you bring me on a spotlight like this, I can change the conversation and tell you, okay, I actually was trying to make a content, maybe create awareness. I wasn't really thinking it in that direction.
We've seen that, right? When you say, I didn't think Nigerians would take me seriously and all
over
of that.
These things. So you want to divert the attention and begin to look at. So, but for me as a patient advocate, I'm happy that I called out on other patient advocates. I made an article that week and called on every other patient advocate to see the implication, see this beyond that content, to see it beyond even before the donation came out to the open.
Allegedly, right? About ₦1 million.
We've had 100 million.
She claims it's about 13. Sometimes she said 11.
So we've had different figures. But I tell you, before I even go through the modality, what you think will be this. Now, I want to say something here so that you understand the depth of what a cancer patient goes through. Like some treatment, right, goes to some treatment goes to between 1 to 4 million per session, and you're having something like that for someone who cannot afford it and do not have any other place other than the public that he relying on. And that's the major implication to what the damage this thing has caused. So for modalities on how to verify, like I said, if we talk about, if you remember, whenever you say someone has cancer, I would say, can we see the diagnosis, right? And in that distance, there will be details of the doctor, the hospital, and the process that has been taken.
Yes.
And it's not just only one form. It's not nobody comes to tell you that I've been diagnosed of cancer with just one particular distance. So for fundraising, I don't think there is any laid down particular way of raising fund as far as this issue is concerned. Is either through your church or through your distance. So you won't also tell people how to maybe make their donation or something like that. So, but for me, I think before you make any donation or before you begin to have this sympathy, know what you're sympathizing for. And for cancer, it's not all about sympathy. It should be more than that.
That's exactly.
So when you are empathetic, right, you will also follow this what you're donating for. we've had similar cases. We even among cancer patients, right? There are doubts. I can tell you this for free. There are doubts. There are people who also, because the way they package themselves, there are doubts that they have cancers. We've seen it happen, but they're actually real cancer patients. Like for me, I can tell you, a lot of people doubted that I had cancer, but
just because you weren't looking the part.
And
that
is also what I argued in this case. I said there are people who base their argument on the looks. I said, how does a cancer patient look? How? So we also need to understand these things. It is the look you think is not the look of a cancer patient.
Right.
It's not.
Absolutely.
There are so many things that will make a cancer patient look the way it is. Remember that the cancer that's why this thing is hurting me. The cancer deals with you in different ways. And in that ways it is dealing with you, right? The treatment you can't afford is affecting you.
Exactly.
And hence you're treating cancer. To eat becomes a problem, which is why one of the major reasons why you see people look the way they are.
So they're unable to eat
well.
So
they are unable to eat well, but you're taking poison that is destroying you, destroying your cells, destroying your immune system. So you need something to fight back. A lot of people find it difficult. And that's part of also what we do to navigate people, to create this awareness that at no point should you allow this thing to get you to that point. It's not as if it's not overwhelming. It is. The financial toxicity is something that, okay, you can imagine the economy we have now. You can imagine what people are going through. Now imagine someone who has to take 2-3 million naira drug every 3 weeks. You can't afford it. Imagine someone, you have children to feed. Like we have a couple of people who their children are not going to school
because of
this.
I mean, I lived it. Like I said earlier, I had a friend who, I was in the picture all through the entire. I know how nauseated she was. She could not eat, and I went through all of that with her. But let's get back to Barrister Momo. Barrister Momo, how can the law, gain effect, that balance? Because you just mentioned something very important. In the bid not to be too hard on people who would eventually come back and say, listen, I have, and they are genuine. How can we strike that balance for people who have genuine appeals for help and protecting the public from goodwill? Because that's exactly what is exposed. A lot of people, Blessing CEO is someone I follow, irrespective of what she stands for. She has followers, and because of that, based on that, she paid so much. She claims she got 11 million. There are individuals who have come and said, I gave you 20 million. So how come you are not even capturing that in your numbers? It is obvious this was done for financial purposes. I guess I should just start with you. If you have to suggest, how can the law, while going after someone like this who had falsified diagnoses just for financial gains, also go after her, protect the goodwill of Nigerians? We are very wonderful people. We want to help at all times, and also those who genuinely have appeals for help.
Oh, thank you. For me, it's not a matter of law. It's a matter of empathy. If you are empathetic, there are platforms, there are let me even put it this way. There is Cancer Health Fund that you can, donate to. There are legal authorized platforms that you can say, okay, let me donate to this cause. It doesn't matter who is affected. It doesn't matter who is involved. It can be a member of my family. It can be my friends. So like a trust. There are so many you can trust these donations to.
Right.
That even if it is a blessing, CEO, you can pull from there. You can also, I believe individuals can also donate to government, right? To to be able to cater for cancer patients.
Absolutely, it
who
happens.
need
It happens all over the world.
all over the world.
Where
Right?
you donate to cancer research, you donate to patients and all of that.
I mean,
Absolutely.
those platforms exist. So for me, it's not about one claiming that somebody is a celebrity. That's why I'm donating 20 million to this thing. Do you understand? So, like I said, beyond this thing, the empathy, yeah, being empathetic to her cause is good, right? But at that point in time, you should also think it beyond who you're doing it for. And I believe if we begin to see, okay, for the past maybe getting to 8 months or getting to 1 year, the Cancer Health Fund has not been functional, owing to the fact that there are no funds. Now, if we had pulled up maybe this 100 million, it will help so many cancer survivors or cancer patients going through treatment. There are hospitals too, there are cancer centers that individuals can donate to or can't come to tell you. Like I led an individual who spent over 12 million for different cancer patients in a hospital. He never wanted to give somebody the money, but I said no, let's go to the hospital so that you see these people, so that you see how much they spend. And before he did it, I think such things. So for me, those are legal ways of handling or doing those things. So if, for instance, again, that we want to say, okay, let's have a legal framework to make donations for sickness, I mean, we might be missing a whole lot of things too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we will, because what are you going to capture and what are you going to leave?
I mean, I just want some sort of sanity in that, because we see this a lot.
That's what I'm saying.
We could also bring it down to when you go to our markets, you see some people with so much, they're approaching you, move around the streets of even Abuja here. Somebody who's I'm a pensioner, I haven't been paid here, but I want to go to the hospital. I can't afford what they're asking me for. It's not just blessing CEO.
But can we look at it from this perspective?
Right.
You have patient organizations. Why are they registered? Why are NGOs registered?
So that we could have, we could know them and have accountability, yes.
Right? Proof. So, what other, like I said, can't the public work with these organizations? Do you really work with me as a person? Or the fact that
of course I work with you as
a patient advocate.
A patient advocate.
And the fact that it's an organization that is under the law, right? So that every claim I make can be accounted for or can be verified. Is it not why it is done?
Absolutely.
So I think that our people should also be involved. I believe people should get more involved into these organizations. We publish most times for people to help. So it's an individual, right?
Yes.
For that we have someone that need a bone marrow transplant that's around 60-something million. You won't say you won't have it or that you've not seen it, right? So how do we begin to beg to get attention? Do we need the law? Do we? So I think it's just for us to be empathetic beyond content. To be empathetic beyond following a particular celebrity or a particular influencer, as the case may be. But for us to be human, or for us to begin to see ourselves as people as community. Like I always say, no individual fights cancer alone. If Blessing had cancer, right? We won't be here talking about, maybe some people will also be saying allegedly that
Exactly.
if she had, but for me, my conviction is this: if she had cancer, why faking it at first? Do you understand? What if you have
the entire case here proves that it's fraudulent from the word go.
No, but let's also say
if you flip, even if you flip the sides, the way she came out, it also tells a different story entirely. It didn't come out as, this is my journey, I want to document what I'm going through.
That's the way it should be.
Yes, it came out from, listen, I need help from now, otherwise I don't know where I will go. I'm suffering so much, I've spent everything,
When you
that's
not started.
when in the real sense you hadn't really started, which is most concerning about this. So moving forward, has this changed the way you continue your advocacy? Because I know you also do patient support. Has it changed the way you would approach people, knowing that there's skepticism behind everyone's response now? What has this taught the Nest of Hope advocacy and community support organization?
Well, for me, every adversity, there's a lesson in it for me, and I see a positivity in every adversity too. This also had made me to realize something about the thing we are doing, right? I noticed that a whole lot of people are in for visibility than solving the problem.
Okay.
So I've really had also talked to my group for us to begin to re-strategize on how to approach maybe fundraising and the awareness, right? So we're not going to stop. It's not going to take us back. Rather, it will propel our actions. I believe it's going to launch us forward to for us to be asking for assistance for people. So what I think in this at this point is embedding empathy into our ask. That's what I've been thinking how we're going to
moving forward,
right? How we're going to push for that. And again, I looked at it. If some media personalities, this is me telling you what I've been thinking of. If some media personalities could afford to host an individual because she needed help, which means they can afford to host others too, right? So I've been thinking how to reach out broadly. Yes, I accuse the media of not doing much, right, in terms of this. This also have taught me a lesson to you need to reach out more. So as patient advocates, we need to also reach out more to media organizations.
I appreciate that part, because when you mentioned how it's like we're highlighting the likes of Blessing because she's an influencer, and already, of course, naturally, I've seen that we follow the news. We are very sensational, unfortunately. We want to follow the clouds. Blessing CEO is quite popular, so that's what is on everybody's lips. Blessing CEO has cancer, stage 4 even. So that's what, it's unfortunate that that's where the news goes to. So I understand what you mean. However, other practical ways the media can improve in creating awareness of how to spot, because the biggest problem here was the misinformation that happened. We jumped on it. Again, when you tell media people verify, it was obvious that was done. The media did not sit on it, or they did verify, and that is how today we could sit here and know that it was
some media or personalities had theirs on sentiment too.
Absolutely, there's always without verifying.
Yes.
But when you say verify, the first place to go to is the subject. You're going to the Blessing to say, okay, you said you're this, let us know. And if you're hearing from the horse's mouth and she's looking you right in your eyes to say, this is what it is, you ask yourself. So it opened up once more that need for the media to be very responsible so that they do not defraud. This is a case of fraud in some way. Do not ennoble this kind of brazen, fraudulent activities. So I understand. But what else? What other ways do you think that we can all collaborate so that people who have natural goodwill, who have the need to help and support cancer patients, are not, because of this isolated case, are not affected by the public good?
Thank you. I know that media outlets and organizations run for profit, right? It's not a charitable organization.
It's not.
And I'm also aware that you spend so much to keep afloat. So those are these things. But when I think the community social responsibility or whatever you want to give back to society is one area that will make you to think of what to do. But to your question, I think I don't want to be selfish, right? But there's no way as a media outlet you don't know one or two patient organizations. So one of the areas to do this thing is to work with patient organizations, right? These patient organizations, and I'll tell you for free, there's a difference between how I perceive this issue from how another person sees it.
Absolutely.
Right? It gets to me, I am more empathetic, not because you don't want to be, but I think I understand a little more what this person is going through. So it will be difficult for me to allow this person, right, because of my interest, to be going through pain. Why I have the opportunity to assist.
Help, right.
So I think the media organizations should work with, we are ready for collaboration.
Okay.
Right? And a lot of, like I will tell you, a lot of cancer survivors are not just doing this thing for the fact that they want to be seen, or they are using it as a healing process too. Because after treatment, the big question is what next?
Exactly.
And you see, survivorship is a journey on its own, because this cancer, as we say, doesn't just end. So you continue every day, even after treatment. You have those scares, those side effects. A lot live with you all through your life.
That's true.
So it reminds you of where you're coming from.
Absolutely.
And because again you have lost, a lot of people lose their livelihood, lose their destiny. They don't know how to start up again, right? So it's a constant reminder that you need to live beyond now and above yourself. So the person doing this thing is also healing. So wants to continue to heal. Like every day I talk about cancer, it's not because I wear it as a badge. It's because I want to pass the right information. I want the stigma associated with this to reduce. I want people to know that is the slogan that cancer is not a death sentence. It's real, it's true, right? So we're doing all those things because you also want to be grateful to God who has given you the opportunity.
Absolutely.
So it's also a way of this. So a lot of cancer survivors are willing to be partnered in progress.
Right.
So let the media, right? While we are doing this now, we are talking about blessing, right? But at the same time, we are creating awareness.
Right.
We are also letting, because a cancer survivor that is thinking of how do I go about this thing is hearing this thing and say, okay, which means I can live beyond this situation, which means I can survive, which means there are hope, So putting faith and hope together it gives you this real partnership that works.
Thank you so much, Engineer Dozia Parandu, Cancer Survivor and Executive Director of Nest of Hope Advocacy and Support Community. Thank you for your insight into this. Absolutely, you are right. When empathy is exploited, the real victims, those who are silently battling for their lives, are the ones who suffer more. So let's do more in supporting them and in helping them. On that note, I say thank you once again for being part of the show. This is it for Razep Africa this morning. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, do have yourself a wonderful rest of the day.